All right, Chiefs go and take on the Broncos. The Broncos are at home. The Chiefs are coming off a bye. I expect a better game than people think here. Aqib Talib will be out. I think the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are still competing.
What is going on?
I'm trying to tempt him for the almost upset of the week. Coming off a bye, you got injuries on Broncos who are coming off a loss. Whoa!
Andy's almost upset of the week.
I actually feel good about this because the Chiefs' defense has been stepping it up. They were dominant last time out. They'll put pressure on Manning. They know how to create pressure with Houston and Tom Ali and that defensive front. I like the Chiefs to keep it close. The Broncos are favored by 6 at home, but it's a low-scoring projection from Vegas. I like this as a potential very close game. I'm not saying they're going to win it. It's going to come down to me. It's going to come more down to whether the Chiefs' offense can do anything against the defense without Aqib Talib versus the other direction. What do you guys think about Char West this week?
I like him.
I do too. The Broncos' pass D has been incredible, but their run D has been completely middle of the pack. People have put up decent fantasy games against them, and Charizard's been cruising the last few weeks, so I don't see any reason to sit him in this matchup.
Really like Kelce. I think Kelce is being involved in the offense a little bit more. I saw more creative play calling with him last game out, including them rewarding him after a big game, getting him a touchdown on the goal line. Kelce's a guy that I really like going forward. I can't decide whether I like him more than Reed or not, but I think I do.
This week?
I like him more than Reed
just moving
rest
forward.
Of season.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This week Reed has a nice matchup. But the run defense for the Chiefs is very highly ranked. They're a very, I think, competitive defense. I don't like anybody in the Denver backfield.
That's fair. That's very fair.
If you had to start one, Jay, who would it be?
If I had to start one,
You just vomited?
I think it would be Ronnie Hillman. And,
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to start either of those guys.
All right, so other side of the ball, we said Char West is okay. I like Jeremy Maclin.
And just to remind people, Charizard is not Jamal Charles, but Charles put up 125 on the ground and a touchdown, and West is just getting the volume that he can have a decent decent game.
Yep, so we'll see what happens if they can pull off the upset or get close. The Patriots face their arch nemesis, the New York Football Giants in New York, and the Giants are 7-point dogs at home.
Woof.
And maybe it should be more.
You think?
Not really. Because yesterday we talked about this. I don't know if it was on the Patreon mailbag show or on the live on the show yesterday, but the Giants have won 5 of 6 matchups in the Belichick-Coughlin era against the Patriots. It'll be put to the test this week. I think we all agree about that.
Absolutely.
But the loss of Deion Lewis, figuring out what's going on in the backfield, how do you expect it to unfold from a fantasy perspective in the backfield for New England?
I love Legarrette Blount this week. Love him.
Okay.
He is your start of the week. I have a few worries about him just because the last time we saw Deion Lewis go out, all of a sudden they're like, well, we're just throwing the ball then. Legarrette, you can take this one off. So
and I completely agree with that moving forward, but the Giants' run defense is just the worst.
I think their pass D says, hey, don't forget about us. We're pretty bad too.
Yeah, this is the team that gave up 7 passing touchdowns to Drew Brees 2 weeks ago.
Touché.
And now they have to take on Tom Brady. I love the quote from Jason Pierre-Paul where he just said, I hope he just has a bad day or he's sick or something.
Yeah,
it would help us out.
It's a nice honesty. That's why my start of the week is Brandon LaFell. I think LaFell gets in the end zone this week, has plenty of targets, plenty of catches, plenty of yards. He could be a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, I think is his floor. So,
and I don't know if we've talked about this since the Deion Lewis injury. The guy that we all kind of think gets the bump is not necessarily James White. It's Danny Amendola. That's what we saw when Lewis was out. We saw that. That's when Amendola had those 2 bigger
back-to-back games. 7 for 105 against Indianapolis, 8 for 86 and a touchdown in the game against the Jets following those 2. And those were the 2 games where Lewis was injured and struggled and wasn't involved in the offense that much.
If you have a bunch of garbage on your bench, sometimes the way that the lineup crumbles, you might have just nothing, worthless guys on your bench. Go and swap one of them out for Danny Amendola now, this week, before he blows up, because he could go into a role like that where his floor is high And every ceiling is high on the Patriots. So.
Would you drop somebody like Matt Jones for Danny Amendola?
I don't really like dropping running backs.
Would you rather have James White than Danny Amendola? Take the chance on James White?
At this point, I would rather have James White than Danny Amendola as far as the chip in play. And the reason is kind of what Mike's saying. It's because he's got the RB next to his name instead of the WR. And one of those is easier to fill than the other.
Okay, that's good. Eli Manning, what do we think about him this week?
I'm still going to start him. You have to keep up with the Patriots, and if they're going to keep up, it's going to be Eli Manning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously no discussion necessary for Robert Gronkowski, who's been the number one in our rankings for many weeks.
I think based on the matchup, you can play him this week.
Yeah, based on the matchup, it'll be decent.
Yeah, the Giants are – this is the note. Giants are terrible against the tight end. Gronk could have 2 or 3 touchdowns this week.
So if you're a fantasy team and you're running out Tom Brady, Legarrette Blount, Julian Edelman, Brandon LaFell, Rob Gronkowski, and Steven Gostkowski,
you're probably going to win.
You're just fine.
Yes. Honestly, I think
isn't
you
that
could
comedic?
win. That is comedic, but I believe if you had those guys, you could win a decent matchup this week. That's ludicrous.
That is crazy talk.
It is interesting because there have been, in our league of record, I think we're in season 9, I've won 2 championships in the league. And both times I had stacks of kind of the team that was the team to beat that year. I had Peyton Manning with Dallas Clark and Reggie Wayne one season. And then the other, ironically, I had Peyton Manning with like Demaryius Thomas and Julius Thomas, or I don't remember who it was. It was 3 Broncos. So it does work out.
Moreno.
Well, yeah, there you go, Moreno. And so we've seen this work. It's not like you wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers and you've seen Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb in years past. I don't know if I'd go 6 deep, but
that would be awesome.
And just to give you perspective on the variance you can see there, in one of my leagues I have Brady, Gronk, and Deion Lewis, and I know Lewis is out now. But 2 weeks ago I got 87 from those 3 guys combined. Last week it was like 37. So that's what can happen. You can just have a week that goes your way and you blow a team out, and then you can have a week that dies off. So let's talk about the Cardinals at the Seahawks, the Sunday night football game. I'm excited for this game.
This one is the Fantasy Hitman's upset of the week.
Oh, because the Seahawks are favored by 3, and you're a hometown Cardinal fan?
You're darn right I am.
A lot of questions this week about Palmer because the matchup isn't great on paper. The Seahawks are obviously very good. They're the second best pass defense statistically. They're the 9th best run defense. They're a great D. We know what the Seahawks are. That being said, is Palmer matchup proof, or on a Sunday night game coming off the bye, can he come in here and produce because of his weapons? What are you expecting from him without bias, my friends?
And this is without bias, and here's why. These are the teams that the Seahawks have shut down. Dallas, Brandon Weeden. Or Matt Castle. That was Castle. San Francisco, Colin Kaepernick. Cam Newton had success. Andy Dalton had success. Stafford, they shut him down. And then the ever-dangerous Jimmy Clausen of the Chicago Bears, they shut him down. But Aaron Rodgers, even Nick Foles week 1. I mean, teams are having success. Again, this is not last year's Seattle defense. And the problem with them is their pass rush is not as good as it has been in past years. And if Palmer has any kind of protection with Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown, and Michael Floyd all running free, there's going to be trouble for the Seahawks DB. You can't cover. Nobody can cover forever when there's 3 top-end weapons.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. Obviously, those statistics are right. 2 of those big games came in the first 2 weeks without Cam Chancellor. Their defense has improved since then. So I think it's somewhere in the middle. And also, you have to factor in that they are at home. And when they are at home, Andy Dalton did a great job. He's really the only person this year that has really carved them up. But that was in Cincinnati. Nobody has gone to Seattle and really carved him up. So for me,
you very much temper your ceiling with him then.
Yes. I just don't see how he could throw for
3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's not going to throw for 300 yards.
So you take Eli Manning over Palmer?
Yes.
This week?
I would.
I think that's how I have it ranked.
Okay.
And honestly, so the question for me, the biggest question is, do I play Palmer in my high stakes league, or do I stream Kirk Cousins?
Whew.
Yeah, that is difficult. I am fine with you streaming Cousins.
I think if you're looking for the higher play, that's going to be Kirk Cousins. He
Yeah.
has a higher ceiling this week than
And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's just tough. Because I still have I have confidence in Palmer.
The nice thing about streaming Kirk Cousins is that when he throws a pick six, he just has to get back on the field and throw more. So it's just more opportunity for him to put up yards.
Now, generally in these type of games, now the Cardinals are 4th against the run, 7th against the pass. The Seahawks are 9th against the run, 2nd against the pass, a.k.a. really competitive defensive football game. Somebody will have a great fantasy day. But predicting it in games like this is the most difficult because whether it's Chris Johnson or Andre Ellington or the Fitzgerald Brown-Floyd situation, Palmer's going to probably throw for 1 or 2. But it's hard to know exactly who that is when you have a defensive kind of matchup like this. So is there somebody that stands out that you are confident about, or is everybody get a bump down because of the defensive nature of this game?
I mean, everyone gets the bump down. Fitzgerald is the guy I'm most confident in, just because he's kind of that possession guy where I feel confident in him getting 5 or 6 catches.
Did you hear Larry Fitzgerald on whether or not Richard Sherman was going to cover him this week?
No, I did not.
Oh, it was so great. Larry's so great. He was talking and he goes, "Man, I'm old now. I haven't had 1,000 yards in 3 seasons. He's got to cover Michael. He's young. He's good." He's like, "I just really hope he's on Michael." It's like, that's great.
That is pretty good. I'm old now. That's great. Yeah. Please don't cover Larry. Don't cover him.
But that is the problem. You just don't know where he's going to be guarded. And the truth is, this year, like other years, quarterbacks just haven't thrown at Richard Sherman that much. So it's not even whether or not he's the reason to shut him, that he's shutting Larry down. For me, I don't want to pick a guy, and I take a bump down on just about everybody in this game. The only guy that I think is an absolute fine play, but not that great, but I would start him if he's in my roster, is probably Marshawn Lynch.
What about Jimmy Graham?
Yeah, he's another one of those. He could have a great game,
right?
But it could be Lockett instead, or it could be Doug Baldwin instead.
Sure,
We just don't know.
All right, we got to get to the Monday night game and then our Daily Dose segment today. The Texans are taking on the Bengals on Monday Night Football. The Bengals are heavy favorites. They're at home. Clearly, 8-0, playing well in prime time, getting a lot more attention than they had been getting earlier in the year. How do we think this game shakes out? I mean, you're starting DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, but he might be the only guy you actually roll out on the entire Texans team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Alfred Blue.
I have him on my bench in a league. No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't roll him out here.
Would you play him on your bench?
I would play him on my bench.
You'd put him in the bench spot?
I want those bench points, for the fantasy tiebreakers.
All point. I want that bitch point.
And if you're going, I mean, we got Shorts in Washington. I think Shorts is going to play, which kind of caps that upside of.
I still take Washington over Shorts.
Of the nasty one. I do too.
Yeah.
If Washington he's in that, we always talk about this nebulous lump of receivers who could do well. He is definitely in there because the Texans could be getting boat raced and then just have to throw a bunch, so he garbage times his way into a decent wide receiver 3 day.
Would you rather have Nate Washington or Marvin Jones in this game?
Marvin Jones.
Would you rather have Nate Washington or Mohamed Sanu in this game?
Nate Washington.
Give me nasty.
Okay. And then, Mike, tell me how you're approaching the running backs position with Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard and the ever swinging pendulum of excitement.
Last week's effort against the Browns of the usage of Jeremy Hill was just a shot in the butt.
Shot to the heart!
Yeah, Bon Jovi nailed that one. So it's really hard to count on him. And let's say you have both these guys. Who do I start? It depends on what you need. Do you need 10 points? You go with Gio Bernard. Do you need 20 points? You go with Jeremy Hill.
And that is so much of what makes lineup decisions not black and white, right? People can look at a ranking sheet and say, I like this guy more than that guy. But there are kind of facets within that. Who are you playing in your league? Are you going up against the worst team in the league and you need to just guarantee your baseline points and you know you'll get by them? Or are you going up against the juggernaut who's got Gurley running out there against the Bears at home.
Oh, don't talk about that.
Oh, is that your situation?
Yes.
I know it is. I just having fun with it. So. Is Todd Gurley pretty good?
He's okay.